Okay.
Okay, it is 7 o'clock. It's about 2 minutes after. We'll call our meeting to order.
We do have a quorum with 1 absent and 1 vacant.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Vice President has lost part of his voice, so we're going to delegate Councilor Sheila DeForest will read our proclamations. Thank you, Sheila.
Did you want to read the resolution? Or?
Our first proclamation is recognizing National Library Week, April 9th through the 15th, 2017.
Thank you. An official proclamation from the City of Beloit. Whereas libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions, and library workers and librarians work to better their communities, campuses, and schools. Whereas libraries continue to level the playing field for all who seek information and access to technologies and the skills needed to thrive in a rapidly changing digital landscape. Whereas libraries and librarians are looking beyond their traditional roles, providing more opportunities for community engagement, delivering new services that connect closely with patrons' needs, and opening a world of possibilities through innovative STEM programming, makerspaces, job-seeking resources, and the power of reading. Whereas a healthy democracy demands an informed citizenry, that's a mouthful. Libraries offer vital literacy-based programs and educational resources that transform communities, open minds, and ensure equitable access to information for all. Whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Beloit proclaims National Library Week, April 9th through 15th, 2017. We encourage all residents to visit the Beloit Public Library this week to explore and engage with the staff and resources because, in short, libraries transform. Adopted this 3rd day of April 2017, David F. Lukey, Council President. And I know we have someone here to accept. Hi, Nick. Thank you. Want to say a few words?
Sure. Mr. President, council members, City Manager Luther, thank you very much for this. I am going to actually invite Andrea Levine up here. She is our Outreach and Communications Coordinator. She's going to tell you a few of the activities that are happening this week. And we also have another special presentation as thanks for everything that you do for us.
Thank you, Nick.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. This week, for National Library Week, we do invite you to come down to the library. In addition to all the usual things that we have going on, our story times, of course, books, the internet, all the things we have going on, we also have several special events. On Saturday, this coming Saturday, we have the 1st Brigade Band coming in for a special concert in the evening. So we encourage you all. They have really an awesome performance of combining history and music on the historical instruments. And then on Monday, we have Amnesty Day. So anyone who brings in a book actually into the library, comes to the circulation desk with that book, will not be charged fines. So whether it was a day late or more than a day late, you would not be charged fines if you bring it in. So that's 9:30 to 5:30 on Monday. And then wrapping up National Library Week on next Saturday, we have another special concert. Lone Canary will be performing at the library. So that's what we have coming up. You can check our website for more. But while we're here, we just wanted to give an extra special thank you to all of our city council members for all that you do in supporting all that we do. So I know Nick and Jennifer have our posters.
I'll
hand them out. And we would really like to get a picture with everybody. And for those of you in the audience, these are pictures of the. These are pictures of the city councilors with the Beloit library card.
Yay. I use my library card often.
There's enough for you. Yep, you're first. And then Sheila.
Thank you, Nick.
there's one out
Really?
now.
Dang.
Those are going
What?
order.
Oh, I was down.
Mark, you're on the end.
Librarian should know about order, right? Why don't you just have everyone stand up and maybe can you stand in between?
Okay.
Really, Nick?
I know. Yeah. Maybe you know what? Take them off the stand and hold them in front of you. How's that?
Kind of like we had, before, right? Kind of like we had at the beginning, right? Mark, hold Regina's.
Let me get.
Hold Regina's.
Okay, let's get Regina here. Okay. Oh, I definitely don't have the best seat in the house for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.
Now we got it.
Make
That
you
was
work.
a surprise.
Make you work.
That was a surprise.
Great.
Well, thank you, Nick and staff. Kevin told me he's got a book from high school that he's going to return. It's been about 50, 45, I won't tell you how many years it's been. Nick, did you just want to briefly introduce the rest of your staff while you,
Sure.
please?
Yeah, so as you heard from Andrea Levine, our Outreach and Communications Coordinator, and we have Jennifer Latz, she's our Business Manager, and even more than that, but she's more like the Deputy Director around here. And then Sherry Blakely is also a wonderful part of our staff as well. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're very proud of the public library. You've brought a lot of acclaim to Beloit. Thank you.
Okay, so Kevin, did you take note the Amnesty Day is Monday?
Hey, I'm going to keep that book forever. So. I rode my bike all the way down there to get it, Sheila. So.
You didn't ride that bike.
All right.
Our next proclamation is recognizing April 21st, 2017 as Roy Chapman Andrews Day.
An official proclamation from the city of Beloit. Whereas Roy Chapman Andrews devoted his childhood in Beloit, Wisconsin to a tireless pursuit of knowledge about the natural world. And whereas Roy Chapman Andrews secured his formal education through Beloit schools, culminating in his graduation from Beloit College in 1906. And whereas Roy Chapman Andrews went on from Beloit to become a world-famous explorer for New York's American Museum of Natural History, discovering new species of animals, including, during a series of daring expeditions to the Gobi of Mongolia, previously unknown dinosaurs, the first nests of dinosaur eggs, and fossils of mammals that lived alongside dinosaurs. And whereas the accomplishments of Roy Chapman Andrews are gaining new attention and recognition today, both locally and nationally, through the efforts of the Roy Chapman Andrews Society of Beloit. And whereas the legacy of Roy Chapman Andrews will be celebrated on Friday, April 21st, 2017, when the Roy Chapman Andrews Society bestows its Distinguished Explorer Award on Wade Davis, a cultural anthropologist and ethnobotanist who has conducted more than 80 expeditions on 5 continents to expand appreciation of the world's diverse peoples and cultures. Now, therefore, the President of the Beloit City Council does hereby declare that Friday, April 21st, 2017, be proclaimed Roy Chapman Andrews Day, to honor visiting explorer Wade Davis and to recognize the achievements of one of Beloit's most famous native sons. Adopted this 3rd day of April, 2017.
Is there somebody here to pick this up? Joe, you want to step forward, Joe?
Wonderful, Joe. Thank you.
Can I say a few words?
Absolutely.
Please.
City Manager Luther and the council, thank you very much for recognizing this year's recipient. This is the 16th recipient that Roy Chapman Andrews is recognizing since 1999. Roy Chapman Andrews has been here to promote not only Roy, but the city of Beloit, and we're very proud to have you recognize this day. And we want to invite everybody to come to the lecture. It's free to the public at Eaton Chapel at 4:30 on Friday afternoon, the 21st. And so bring your kids, bring your grandkids. These are world-renowned guest lecturers. His presentation will be unbelievable. He's a recognized author, a recognized photographer, and a scientist. So it will be a wonderful presentation that anybody will enjoy. I'd also like to invite you to the fundraising dinner afterwards if you'd like, and you can find out that information on our website, roychapmanandrewssociety.org.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much for the recognition.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our third proclamation is recognizing April as National Fair Housing Month.
An official proclamation from the City of Beloit. Whereas April 2017 marks the 49th anniversary of the National Fair Housing Law, Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, and therefore is an appropriate time for all citizens to reflect on the principles which led to a national policy of fair and equal housing opportunities across the United States. And whereas fair and equal opportunity in housing means that persons of equal income have the same access to the sale, rental, and financing of all housing, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, family status, marital status, sexual orientation, age, or ancestry. And whereas fair housing is the policy of the City of Beloit, and the implementation of this policy requires the positive commitment, involvement, and support of each of our residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Beloit City Council does hereby proclaim the month of April 2017 as Fair Housing Month, and does hereby encourage all citizens to abide by the letter and spirit of the fair housing laws, and ask residents of the city to join in reaffirming the obligation and commitment to fair housing opportunities for all. Adopted this third day of April 2017, David F. Lukey, Council President. And I believe Terry is here to accept, or Steve, actually, wonderful. So Steve Helen is the chair of our Equal Opportunities Commission.
Thank you,
Say a few
Sheila.
words.
Thank you. On behalf of the Equal Opportunities Commission, I thank the City Council for again passing this proclamation. This marks the 49th anniversary of the Fair Housing Act, which was passed in the wake of the assassination of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. When we pass proclamations year after year, there is always the danger that they become rote and therefore meaningless. But the Council has also created the Equal Opportunities Commission and stated its task as to improve the quality of life by the elimination of racism in the Beloit community. The purpose of the Commission is to take action, study, analyze, and recommend solutions with respect to the major social, economic, and cultural problems that affect the people residing or working within the city, including discrimination in housing, education, employment, and public accommodations and facilities. Obviously, this is a huge task, but we intend to take it seriously. Our intention is to work with and for the council and the city manager and the city staff to improve the quality of life in Beloit and to make sure your proclamation doesn't become rote or mere words. I believe there's at least two other members of the commission. Rose and Joe. They're Joe Hansen and Rose Richard both serve on the commission as well. Hold their feet to the fire if they don't do their job as well. Thank you.
Steve. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Sheila.
I have a question.
Yes, Kevin.
Just as we pass this proclamation here, and I know in the past, I think we used to get some kind of update or report on where we are as it relates to fair housing. Were there any issues or anything? Just wondering somewhere down the road if we can get a report. We don't have to do it. You don't have to do it now. Come back at another time because I know, as we said, we take this very seriously, and we want to make sure that nothing is going on out there that we should be aware of. So that maybe somewhere down the road, if we can get some kind of report of what we've done in relations to this, and that have we had any issues, and maybe not only this issue, but a report out from that specific committee to say what have we been addressing all this time. Just somewhere down the road. Future meeting. So.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We look forward to that and to getting your input in possible areas that you might want looked into that the commission may deal with.
Okay.
We're there for you and we'd be glad to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Agenda item. Thank you. Okay. Public hearings.
Item 4A is a resolution authorizing a conditional use permit to allow a drive-through use and outdoor seating area in a C3 community commercial district for the property located at 2787 Milwaukee Road.
Mr. Pennington.
Good evening. Todd Waller of Beloit Capital has filed an application for a conditional use permit to allow a drive-through use and an outdoor seating area in a C3 community commercial district for the property at 2787 Milwaukee Road. The applicant has proposed the opening of a Dunkin' Donuts restaurant in the existing Asia buffet space at the eastern end of the strip center. The proposed restaurant includes a drive-through window and an outdoor seating area, both of which are conditional uses. The proposed northbound drive-through window is located on the eastern side of the building. There's a site plan included in your packet showing the layout. The building was designed with a drive-through opening, but a drive-through was never established. According to the zoning code, restaurant drive-through lanes needs 5 stacking spaces for the order box and at least 3 between the order box and the window for a total of 8 unless otherwise approved. The applicant has proposed 4 stacking spaces for the order box and 3 between the order box and window for a total of 7. The applicant has worked with planning and engineering staff to make significant changes to the site plan. What you're looking at is the compromise between staff and the applicant, and those compromises are reflected in that attached site plan with respect to how it is laid out. The L-shaped parking lot island design was selected so that stacked vehicles will not impede the shared access easement that provides bidirectional access to Doc's Restaurant, which is next door to the east. In addition, vehicles leaving the drive-through will be required to turn left and exit through the rear parking lot as opposed to turning right and crossing incoming traffic that is coming in from the Walmart side of the property. The drive-through will function in a counterclockwise motion. The median that's there now will be replaced to allow bypass or change of mind exiting from the stacked vehicles. That's a requirement of code. The applicant has proposed the total reconfiguration of the parking lot, and as you can see on the site plan, has proposed a new one-way southbound drive lane around the western end or the speedway side of the building. The proposed one-way drive lane, it requires an exception to the landscape code, which is the next item on your agenda. It requires that because it would encroach into the required open green space along the western property line. Plan Commission reviewed on March 22nd and recommended approval 7-0, subject to the conditions on the resolution, which are: first, this conditional use permit authorizes the construction and establishment of a drive-through as shown in the attached site plan, provided all of the site improvements are completed beforehand. The approval also authorizes the outdoor seating area of up to 2 tables and 8 chairs. Second, the approval is contingent upon concurrent approval of an exception to the landscape code to allow the one-way driveway shown on the attached site plan. Third, alcoholic beverages may not be sold in the drive-through or within the outdoor seating area. Fourth, prior to use, the outdoor seating area shall be enclosed by a 4-foot wrought iron or similar fence on the east and south sides, both of which are adjacent to stacked vehicles. And fifth really reflects the compromise that was reached with the applicant. If the operation of the drive-through begins to cause traffic congestion that prevents free use of the approved easement on the properties, and that congestion is a threat to public health and safety in the opinion of the city engineer, the applicant will be ordered to remedy the problems through the use of additional signs, striping, other traffic control measures. If those measures are not successful, council reserves the right to consider revocation of this permit following lawful notice to the property owner and public hearings. Sixth, any changes have to come back through this body for approval with minor changes approved by staff.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, so first call for any comments. Second call. Third and final call. Please step up and give your name and address, please.
Name is Eric Johnson, 2386 Terra Court. I'm also a member of the Plan Commission and would have voted for approval on this subject. I have driven the site since we voted for approval. The one thing, and I know we discussed this in length in the Plan Commission meeting, is the adjacent property at the Speedway, which I don't want to restrict the use of this property because of a neighboring property, and it seems like the city doesn't have much of a recourse, but the way that the traffic would flow and exit, there's overgrown pine trees as well as like maybe a dumpster enclosure that's towards the back, be the northwest side or northeast side of the Speedway lot, and it really impedes visibility into the the thoroughfare that's in front of the Walmart, which is Walmart property, not city property. And what the city has said was that we don't have any safety vision triangle recourse to make any changes to that speedway landscaping. So I don't know if there's a way to somewhat force the property owner in question to try to open up dialogue with that speedway owner to see if there's some landscaping that can be done jointly to maybe improve the safety. But it's just the current flow that the traffic has does, you avoid one crossover of traffic with the docks easement, but you create another one with the Walmart easement. So you basically just moved the problem but didn't solve the problem. So I don't know what the best track would be for the city to address that, but at the same time I do feel it's a safety issue. If it's the best we can do, if this is the best we can do, that's where it sits. But if there's any additional way to try to somewhat suggest some alternatives to those property owners to make it as easy of a traffic pattern as possible, I think that would be good.
Thank you, Eric.
Yep. Thank you.
Did you want to respond, Eric? Drew?
I can address that. So the applicant, Mr. Waller, is here tonight, and he has agreed to pay for the removal of the trees that are causing the obstruction. Now, the property is actually, it appears that it's Speedway, but it's actually Walmart property. It's part of the drive parcel that goes east-west along that, behind that strip center. So I've reached out to the manager at Walmart, and he is in the process of going through the corporate approval process to allow Mr. Waller permission to remove those trees.
Thank you.
Follow-up.
Sure, go ahead.
Drew, did the individual at the local Walmart think that we were going to get cooperation from corporate? Did he feel like it was pretty likely?
He was on vacation when he was corresponding with me, so they were very brief email exchanges.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Second call. Third and final call for comments. That'll close the public hearing on A. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Moved by Leavy,
I'll second.
seconded by DeForest. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes 5-0. B.
4B is a resolution authorizing an exception to the Architectural Review and Landscape Code for the property located at 2787 Milwaukee Road.
Mr. Pennington.
Mr. Waller has also applied for an exception to Section 3421(2)B of the Landscape Code to waive the open green space requirement for the property at 2787 Milwaukee Road. This requirement is in play between the Speedway property and the subject property, and it requires 5 feet of open green space along a property line. This requirement is automatically waived when there's an easement in place, which is why it doesn't apply on the eastern side. So there's an existing easement in place there. So this request strictly pertains to the west side facing Speedway that is proposed for a new drive lane. So Plan Commission reviewed this item also on March 22nd and recommended approval 7-0, subject to 2 conditions as included on the resolution. First recommended condition is that this approval is contingent upon concurrent approval of a conditional use permit to allow drive-through use at this location. And second, any major changes to this exception shall come back forward for approval with minor changes approved by staff.
Thank you. Public hearing, first call for comments. Second call. Third and final call. That'll close the public hearing. Comments? Sheila, go ahead.
One question.
Yes.
I believe there was still an allowance for about 2 feet of grass. Will that remain? Yes. So we have some.
Yep.
Green? Okay.
And it won't be connected to the Speedway, so there
But at
will
least
still
with
be
some
separation.
green there in that parcel. Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Preschel.
Is there an allowance in this one too, where if it's found that there's some issues with the traffic patterns, et cetera, they have to come back and go by your recommendations, like on the previous?
Yes, if it's related to that easement. This area in question.
That covers this too?
I think it's all going to go together. This area does not directly overlap with that easement. But I think
But
that
it currently
there are
has no traffic because there's
Right.
nothing there, but
Right.
it could impact, we're talking the other end of the building where there's
Right.
other businesses and there's other traffic patterns, et cetera, that
Correct.
have not been, so that this could be an issue down there as well as the other east side.
Mhm.
So, and that's all under that same umbrella the previous change covered.
Well, if you look at
To do
the
it separate with this one.
right, I mean, I think it'll all go hand in hand. I mean, if there are minor changes that are needed, staff can approve that. But if it's just not working,
Right.
then certainly, then it all would come back. Mm-hmm.
That was my concern.
Sure.
This is an unknown. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheila, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the advantages, I think Mr. Waller will hopefully repair that huge pothole that's in that parking lot there in that section. I don't know if any of you have driven that recently, but that would be wonderful. You know what I'm talking about, Nancy.
Any other comments? Is there a motion?
I move.
Moved by Preschel, seconded by DeForest. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes 5-0. C, please.
4C is a resolution authorizing a conditional use permit to allow a ground floor office use in a CBD 1 Central Business District core for the property located at 310 State Street.
Mr. Pennington.
Eric Johnson has submitted an application for a conditional use permit to allow a ground floor office use in the Central Business District for the property at 310 State Street. This is the former overflowing cup building, which has been acquired by a new owner and will be rehabilitated into ground floor office use for a real estate business and upper floor housing. The applicant intends to preserve the storefront. In accordance with the zoning code, office uses in the Central Business District are permitted on the second floor or higher, but require a conditional use on the first floor. This is intended to encourage retail businesses in the downtown district. Uses in the downtown are exempt from off-street parking requirements that typically apply to retail businesses, as on-street parking and other city-owned parking lots are available. The applicant and property owner intend to renovate and revitalize this building in the heart of the downtown district while maintaining the storefront. It's expected to have a positive impact by bringing clients into the area that may benefit adjacent retail businesses. Plan Commission reviewed this item on March 22nd, voted 6-0 to recommend approval, with Mr. Johnson recusing himself, which that's why the vote was slightly different for this one. Their recommendation was subject to the 3 conditions included on the resolution. First, this conditional use permit authorizes the renovation of the first floor of the commercial building at 310 State Street into a professional services office. Second, prior to beginning exterior alterations, the applicant shall obtain an architectural review certificate and permit. Prior to beginning any interior alterations, the applicant shall obtain a permit as well. Any major changes coming back through for council approval, with minor changes approved by staff.
This is a public hearing. First call for comments. Second call. Third and final call. That'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Go ahead, Sheila.
Mr. Johnson might be able to answer this. I'm hoping that he'll work with the Downtown Beloit Association to help with financial assistance for that development of upper floor housing, because we want to see a lot more upper floor housing in the downtown.
Yes, that's going to be more or less, actually it's my uncle Jeff who's purchased the building, and
Okay.
he's going to be owner occupying that space eventually. What we're looking at construction timeline wise, right now we're in the demo and planning phase.
Okay.
Their first floor is going to be built out and occupied here probably in the next few months, or as soon as construction time will allow. The second floor will become a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment probably in the next 2 to 3 years as their retirement timeline kind of comes together.
Great.
So it will be converted, but it will be an owner-occupied residence. I don't know if he plans to utilize any public funds to do so. I don't think he plans to do that at this time, but I'm not sure. But it'll definitely be rehabbed into second-floor apartments, and the designer that we have working on it has a pretty phenomenal plan in the works already. So it should be a pretty spectacular space on both floors once it's all said and done.
Wonderful. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll second it, Dave.
Motion by DeForest, seconded by Duncan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes 5-0. D.
4D is a resolution authorizing a conditional use permit to allow food production and distribution in a C3 community commercial district for the Piggly Wiggly property located at 1827 Prairie Avenue.
Mr. Bennington.
Miguel Guzman has filed an application for a conditional use permit to allow food production and distribution in a C3 community commercial district for the Piggly Wiggly property at 1827 Prairie. The applicant has proposed the renovation of a rear portion of the building into a spice blending and sausage production room. The sausage produced on site will be sold both on and off site. Manufacturing and production uses require a conditional use permit in the C3 district. The applicant has also proposed renovations of the front of the building. They're included on the floor plan that's in your packet. That retail project is not subject to this request. Those retail uses are permitted uses in the C3 district. Of the 84,000 square foot building, the proposed spice blending area is about 1,500 square feet with a walk-in cooler totaling 900 square feet. The proposed operation will not involve any on-site slaughtering. Meat will be purchased in bulk and shipped to the store just as it is now. The proposed spice blending and sausage production operation will only operate during hours that overlap with the store's hours, and the applicant has stated that any additional truck traffic will be very minimal, 1 to 2 a day, and will utilize the existing loading docks behind the store. The attached notice was sent to 21 nearby property owners. I received 1 call in support, 1 email just with questions, and there were residents who spoke in favor at Plan Commission. Plan Commission reviewed the item on March 22nd and voted 7-0 to recommend approval, subject to the 4 conditions on the resolution. First, this approval authorizes the renovation of a rear vacant portion of the Piggly Wiggly building into a spice blending and sausage production facility, as shown on the floor plan submitted with the application. Second, slaughtering is prohibited on the subject property, and the applicant must use the store's existing loading docks. Third, the applicant shall obtain a permit prior to beginning the project. And fourth, any major changes shall come back through for approval, with minor changes approved by staff.
Thank you, Drew. This is a public hearing. First call for comments. Second call. Come on down and introduce yourself, please. Haven't seen this gentleman before.
Jim Vandy Bogart, 2091 Collingswood Drive here in Beloit. Yes, Mr. President Lupke, it's nice to come down, put a sport coat on, and have a minor impact on public policy. I'd like to thank, as we get going here, I'd like to thank you for your service. You're approaching the end of your tenure, big election tomorrow. We certainly know, and I know, how much time is involved and how much effort, and thank you for that. And for those of you that are continuing on the council, thank you for your service as well. I'm here today asking you to approve a 4D, Miguel Guzman's application for a spice blending and a sausage production facility at his Piggly Wiggly store. To add to a few things that weren't in the staff report, he currently has approximately 20 full-time employees, 50 part-time employees. This facility, spice blending one, would result in the move of about 5 positions that are currently in Richmond, Virginia, to Beloit. He would transfer the operation that he has there to here. Obviously, he already has a butcher operation or a meat operation. He has a bakery, a deli. This would enhance those functions. We all know the competitive nature of the food business. The margins are so small. If we can do anything to increase his chances of survival in a very tough industry, I think we should do that. Certainly, if you drew a radius of 5 or 10 miles around the city of Beloit, I don't know how many grocery stores there might be, but there's a lot. His competition is fierce. This would give him a bit of an advantage to do. I would point out that during his approximately 3 years of operations, he's had no health code violations. He's been a good corporate citizen. I'm personally aware that he's contributed in a major way to Meals on Wheels. He's contributed to schools. He's contributed to churches and the library. He's participated in the 4th of July, or the Memorial Day Parade. He's given gift cards to all kinds of different groups. He's a good corporate citizen, and he deserves your vote. So,
thank you, Jim.
Thank you. And he'd like to. He's here. He wants to speak too. He's a little bit shy, but and actually, he's a little nervous.
We won't bite, Mr. Guzman.
He's going to be a father again tomorrow.
Come on down, Miguel. Just introduce yourself and your address, please, Miguel. Thank you.
Miguel Guzman, 5989 West St. Lawrence Avenue in Beloit. And I just want to say to the City Council of Beloit, thank you for all this opportunity that you guys been giving to us. I'm just trying to grow my business here in the town. So that's all what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Thank you. Second call, third and final call for comments. That'll close the public hearing. You just turned it off. Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor DeForest, go ahead.
I can't resist. I really have to thank Mr. Guzman. He has been a good corporate neighbor, and I just want to thank him for being a huge part of helping to save that neighborhood. Your business really anchors that neighborhood, and that's why I know the neighbors all came to support you, and you have been wonderful to work with. So thank you so much for your business and your active involvement in our community. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
I agree. And could you put Sinatra on for music instead of some of that rock stuff when that comes to the story? Okay. Okay.
Don't listen to him.
Editorial. Okay. Strike that from the records. Okay. 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 Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Motion by Duncan, seconded by DeForest. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. We're now to the public comments. And I must preface, should I strike these two? Then you had put in for public comments, so we just, okay. At this time, we'd like to ask anybody who has public comments to come down and speak. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less and refrain from any public attacks or disparaging comments. First call for public comments. I'm sorry, we have a sheet first. We have an individual. I'll take first. Alice Blue, please. Alice, just your name, please, and your address.
My name is Alice Blue, but I'm here for my business, Badger Spirits, at 2621 Prairie Avenue. I want to address this year. Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are going to be on Sunday, and as you know, you don't allow us to open up until noon. Now, this has only happened, this is the only time it's happening in the past 10 years, because I went back over my records. But the importance of Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve for us, it's almost, those 2 days are like doing 2 weeks worth of business in 2 days. By not being able to open up till noon, it's going to really cut into what I can sell. It's also going to cut into what anybody in the city of Beloit in the retail liquor business can sell. So I really don't want to change. I like opening up at noon. It lets me stay home until noon. But for this year, I was hoping that maybe the city would make an exception and allow us to open up at 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So that's my comments.
Thank you, Alice. And I would imagine, say, city attorney and city manager, that would go before the Alcohol Commission.
It's an ordinance.
Okay, but we do have a number of months before, if some.
Christmas, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I hope.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you again, Alice.
So, Mr. President, can I request?
Yes, go ahead.
Can I request that we receive information about this matter, and we have an opportunity to discuss the possibility? Thank you.
Other comments? That was the only sheet turned in. Public comments. First call. Second call for public comment. Third and final call. That'll close the public comments. Consent agenda.
All items under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Would anybody like anything removed? Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Moved by Leavy. Seconded by Duncan. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes 5-0. Ordinances.
7A is a proposed ordinance to amend various provisions of Chapters 6, 25, and 29 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit pertaining to hazardous material incident response and the wastewater treatment system.
Cheryl Simplot.
Hi, Dave.
Good to see you. Go ahead.
We were required under DNR rule to update our sewer use ordinance and our enforcement response plan as part of our approved EPA program. We hired an outside counsel, Boardman and Clark, to help us go through and look at the NR codes and update the ordinances. We cleaned up some language to clarify things. She also recommended at that time, we were under EPA enforcement from 97 to 2007, and we had in that enforcement response plan, excuse me, we had a point system to determine what the penalties would be for violations of the ordinance. At the time of the ordinance changes, the attorney suggested that we go and change from the point system to the current ordinance penalties that are first, second, third, and subsequent violations. So the point system, we then took the penalty amounts and then went with the current city ordinance. The ordinance and the ERP was sent to Bob Lisko, who represents us at the DNR level. He approved both the ordinance changes and the enforcement response plan.
Comments? Councilor DeForest.
City Manager.
Okay. Manager Luther.
Thank you. Simply going to reiterate that one of the intents, or what we've been able to accomplish, I think, with this set of ordinance changes is a more streamlined, simplified version of the same rules that are much more clear and concise and easy to follow. And so I think that is a benefit to the language changes and really making it much more streamlined to the end users. And thank you for your work on this project.
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. In the ERP, at first, when I first looked at it, it looked like there were increases in fines, but it's just that the categories, the classifications have been changed, and I just wanted to make sure when the public looks at this, they understand, because I certainly, when I first looked at it, I thought there were increases.
Sure, maybe I can jump in on that one. The ERP that was approved in 2007 had what you see before you in the new 2504 sub 4 CG. And so it was an attempt to make sure that we have the significant industrial users and the non-significant industrial users, so to make the fines proportionate to the potential damage that can be caused to the wastewater treatment plant. So the fines, since they were approved in 2007, haven't changed. We've just laid them out in an easier to understand way, and also to make sure that that was in our code in addition to being in the ERP.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Preschel.
I would just want to reiterate that it became real obvious reading through this that it clarified a great deal of the language, and that
yes, it
really accomplished that, and I thank you for that. It was quite an ordinance change there to see, but there were some significant simplifications and clarifications and language changes that, clunky language. So thank you.
Yes.
This is our first reading, Cheryl, so it'll come back for a second reading. So
okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Appointments?
We'll need a
Motion to lay over.
To lay over, okay. Motion by DeForest.
Second.
Seconded by Preschel to lay over. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0 to lay over. Appointments.
There are no appointments, so we're in councilor activities and upcoming events.
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. So first let me turn on first. First, I would like to apologize that I have missed the last two meetings. I rarely miss meetings. I think I've missed less than a handful over the last 9 years that I've served, and I missed 2 in a row, I was in shock and withdrawal. I was watching online, but I was hiking in the desert in California and didn't have any access at the time, but then watched the archives later. So I apologize that I missed those. I had to take advantage of the fact that there were record wildflower blooms in the desert because of all the rain that's been out in California. So this is the best bloom in 29 years. And those of you who know me know I'm a nature and wildflower enthusiast. So it was really important to see these very rare flowers that I probably won't get to see again in my lifetime, because I don't think I'll live to be 20. I hear you, Kevin. I don't think I'll live to be 29 years older. So thank you for forgiving me for not attending. I appreciate that. And I have quite a few thank yous I'd like to share. First, a thank you to NAMI and also to our very own Jamie Linder. If you could pass that on, Chief Sobolski. I attended a 2-day very intensive training. I took 2 days off from work after I came back from California, 2 days vacation to attend a crisis intervention training, just so I can know exactly what our officers are receiving for training as they interact with people who have mental illness. And it was a wonderful training, and NAMI helps to make that happen, to sponsor its free training. And Jamie Linder is one of our Beloit Police Department officers who actually helps to facilitate the trainings and actually helps with the planning of it. So please pass my thanks on to Jamie. I also attended the Immigration Resources Workshop that just occurred yesterday. It was our second one. We had one on the west side that we organized, and there was just one at Robinson School. And if anyone missed that and would like more information, please feel free to contact me, or you can contact the local LULAC chapter. And it was a great event, and I appreciate the way the community has come together to support our immigrant residents. Also, because I was gone the last several weeks, I wanted to be sure to extend my condolences to the Larry Cornelier family. He really has been a wonderful supporter in our community and businessman, and I really appreciate how he has helped kind of hold our feet to the fire in ways to support small business, and I just wanted to extend my condolences to his family. And I wanted to make sure, I don't know if the city manager is going to make this announcement, but I wanted to be sure to let you know that please give us feedback on our new logo options. There will be a survey next week on the city website, and there will also be the logos available at the library where people can come and vote. We really want to hear your input. We don't want this just to be our decision. I'm really pleased, as city manager has already asked the city staff to vote on it. So we're trying to make this truly a community-owned logo. So thank you so much for doing that, Lori, for having the staff involved and for having the community have the opportunity to give us feedback. And certainly you can stop us, as you do, in the store or on the street and let us know what you think about the logos before we vote on them. And we do have one more meeting for Dave and Regina, so I'll save my teary thank yous for that point. But one more thing is, I wanted to make sure that because NAMI's been such a wonderful supporter, let you know that you can attend their NAMI website, and there's lots of community events going on there. They just had one recently about a panel of individuals talking about living with their experiences with mental illness, and it just really helps us as a community to really understand our neighbors and our residents and what they could be struggling with so that we can be supportive of each other. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sheila. Councilor Preschel.
It's a good thing you only missed 2 meetings. Anyway, I've been busy doing photographs of a couple of events, Mushing for Meals for Meals on Wheels and the BJSO fundraiser yesterday, where I got to watch our city manager dance, her husband dance.
How'd she do? How was she?
She did a lot better than her partner, but we won't talk about that.
I wasn't dancing with my husband. He's a very good dancer. Not that I think my partner did poorly either.
He tried really hard to blend into the background, but he failed.
Can you put those pictures on the screen?
And so, and I got a nice thank you from the hockey group last month that was here being honored, thanking me for taking their pictures up there. And I do have the best seat in the house to take those pictures. I've always wanted to do that, so it was kind of fun to do that for them. We had 11 people at the What the Tech event last week at Grinnell Hall, and we'll have another one this month at the last Monday of the month at 10 o'clock in the morning. We may be moving that after this election because I may change my availabilities. But it's very popular. We answer tech questions, and I had another person there that was helping me answer people's questions. It was quite exciting. 11 people, all different tech, all different questions. And it's 2 hours. It goes by real fast, and that's at Grinnell Hall. And then this Saturday is Rise and Shine Breakfast for the Friends of Riverfront, where they kick off their new season. That's at 9 o'clock. I think there's a reception, and the actual meeting starts at 10 o'clock. It's also the beginning of the it's also their annual meeting, and once many years ago, Jeff Adams said that this is the only club you can join just by sitting on a park bench. So, you know, if you want to show up and see what's happening, what's going to be happening on this river, on the riverfront this summer, I'd encourage you to do so. And that's it for me now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Regina.
Okay. Hey, Nick left. First, I want to start by saying special thanks to Nick and the library staff for the beautiful pictures and for all that you're doing to promote reading in our library. And I also had a chance to join the community conversation that was held at Beloit College on Wednesday, March 29th at 7:30. It was great to see the effort that the college and the police department made in this endeavor. I was very impressed by the strength of the college students who shared their individual stories. Also, we had a breakout session while I was there where the students talked about having bad experiences with the police, and one young lady shared a good experience with an officer that spent time with students at her school and how he'd established relationships with them. It was also expressed that dialogue exchanged in the beginning makes all the difference and can set the tone for the outcome. The chief was in the group that I was in, and he talked about implicit bias and about having a video available to educate the students. And I think we got some people that were really willing to participate. There were also members of the public that was in attendance at that event. So overall, I felt the community conversation was a win-win for the students, the department, and the city of Beloit. And in order to be safe and get past stereotypes, we have to all work together. Hopefully, this will be an ongoing conversation. And in closing, I want to thank Dave Lukey and Regina Hendricks for their service to the City Council and for their continued service to our community. And in the words of Paul Oyster, to leave the world a little better than you found it. That's the best a man can ever do. So I thank you, Dave, and also Regina, for making us even better. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And then I would also like to encourage you to vote tomorrow. Your vote is your voice. Thank you.
Vice President Leavy, who lost his voice.
I think I'm finally back.
Okay,
Sheila allowed it to rest for a while when she was talking about other stuff that she was involved in. So that 45-minute presentation was really helpful there. So you could tell we missed Sheila while she was gone. So and just let me just put it out there for people who may watch and they see Sheila and I go at it a lot. There's no ill feelings or nothing like that. We do this often. As I often say, it's nice to come down here to do business, but it's also nice to have fun while you do it, because we don't want to just come down here and people think that we don't get along and we yell and scream at each other all the time. But it's nice to be able to have fun and still get the job done. So sometimes I think it's people are get too wound up about small things and forget to look at the big picture. So having said that, I would like to also thank the chief, who several months ago, when I approached him to do these community conversation pieces, he never batted an eye. He was like, let's do it. He said, because I'm saying this is something good for the community. And one thing I like about the officers and the chief is when they're asked questions, they're going to give you the honest answer, and there's not an attitude with it. So they really have that desire of saying, we want to work with the community. How can we make this community better? So I want to publicly thank him for that, but I also want to thank our entire city staff. And when we talk about customer service, we talk about the city manager, we talk about the city attorney, who I know I bug a lot with questions and stuff, but I thank our city staff, the city clerk and her staff, who a lot of times when we forget where we're supposed to be at what time, we can pick up the phone and call them, and they're there to help, but not only us, but to the citizens and residents as well. And that's what a great city is all about. When no matter where you go, people are willing to help you. And believe it, we hear this when we go other places or when people come here, they're saying how friendly our city is. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's oftentimes that we hear people outside of Beloit say what a wonderful city we have. But now I think it's time for us that live here, been here all our lives, to spread that same message about the positive things that's going on in the city. We can all find some negative stuff that's going on, but try at least, just a challenge, just for this month of April alone, try to see how much positive things you can find in the day about the city and spread that, and you'll be surprised and amazed of what great things people will say and how far that would go. So as Regina said, get out and vote tomorrow. That's going to be very important. Don't worry about the big elections. This is where it counts on the local level. This is where things really happen. So if you don't vote, you can't complain. People may say, well, my vote doesn't count. It does count. I remember years ago, there's a city councilor that won by one vote. So if you think your vote doesn't matter, call Mr. Charles Haynes and he will tell you one vote matters. He won his seat by one vote. So your vote does matter. I'm done.
It's the first time you've talked longer than Sheila.
Hey, you know, I kept looking at her, and she was like, as long as she was looking, I was going to keep going, Dave. You know?
Okay, good job. I'll record that. Just want to mention to the public that Regina is with a group of high school students in the South going to various colleges, showing them what their future looks like at various colleges, and she's on that trip. Otherwise, she'd be here tonight, Regina Hendricks. Tomorrow, we vote. I was going to have all six, I want the public to know, all six of our candidates are here today. Sherry Blakely, and Clint Anderson, and Jeanette Hansen, and Rose Richards. Anna Kelly's lost weight. Anna was there. She probably went out to the bathroom. Anna is here. And Nancy Forbeck. But so they're here. They're carrying their concerns. So everybody who's watching, or just put the word out there. People, you have an obligation to vote. So please vote. And don't, like my cohort said here, don't complain if you don't vote. These people complain about who's elected for this or that. And when was the last time you voted? Oh, I don't vote. It doesn't count. So please take this seriously and vote tomorrow. And thank you, candidates, for being here. The only thing I want to add is, and this is, I think, quite important, in 2 weeks, Beloit Memorial High School is going to have their annual Hall of Fame. And an individual from the class of 1961 will be here. And this gentleman is world famous. This is a gentleman who's played with Harry James, played for Frank Sinatra, Barbara Streisand. If some of you younger people don't know who these people are, you can talk to us later. We'll tell you. But who else? Sammy Davis Jr., just a list of people. He was #1 trumpet years ago. He's now in his early 70s, and he can still toot a very mean horn. Tony Scodwell Jr. When I got out of college and came home, I joined what was called the Beloit Civil Defense Team, a volunteer group, and we met down at the old fire station downtown. And the leader was Captain Scodwell, Tony's father, who was on the Beloit Fire Department. And that's how I first learned about his son. This is so many years ago, I don't want to mention. But Tony will be honored on the 20th at the high school. And then on the 21st, he'll have a jam at Suds. And the 22nd at the Beloit Club, a benefit for the Beloit Memorial High School Jazz Band, which is pretty famous in itself. On the 23rd, he'll be at the Gap. And the Gap is the Grand Avenue Pub. It's just down the street here.
Thanks, Dave, for sharing
Gap.
Nice plug there.
Yeah.
No.
And on the 24th, he'll be at Eaton Chapel performing with the Beloit College Jazz Band. So he'll be back in town, and we're going to have a proclamation for him naming that Tony Scodwell Week. But this is an individual who loves coming home. Beloit is his home. Even though he lives in Las Vegas with his wife, he'll come home and be honored at the high school and have his picture on the wall with the other recipients over the last 20 years or so. So just mention that now so you can mark your calendars and come to one of these events. That's all I have. Okay, City Manager's presentation, we don't have one. Reports from the boards and officers. Mark, you're up.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Duncan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Kevin, you can watch the basketball game. Thank you, everybody.